within.
Okay. All right, we'll call the meeting of the Salina Parks and Recreation Advisory Board together. Staff confirmation of the Kansas Open Meetings Act required notice. Has it been provided?
Yes, it was.
Roll call.
Paul Gebhardt.
Larry Pankratz.
Ashley Campbell.
Ann Zimmerman.
And I don't see any citizens for the Citizens Forum.
If I may, I just want to confirm to anybody that might be watching through YouTube that this is a board of typically 7 members and 2 youth advisory boards. So, but we don't have those 2 youth, but there are 4 members of the board present, and we do have a quorum.
And we also have our new city commission.
Correct. We do have a new city commissioner liaison representing the city commission for this board, and that's Dr. Trent Davis.
Yep. Thanks for coming in here. Need approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
I'll
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approval of the minutes.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
And I'll second that.
Item.
Second.
The-
Second.
We've had a motion and a second on approving the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Activity reports.
Thank you, commissioners. What I typically do, and if you want me to do something different in the future, I can, but typically I highlight some of the activity reports that occurred in the month of January 2024, and you'll see a lot of snow-related items on this. And we, again, have snow this month, so you'll see it next month as well.
I have a question, Jeff.
Yes, ma'am.
What is a cap for the Statue of Liberty?
The cap for the statue, so there's a Little Liberty statue in Oakdale Park, and that's currently, it has been refurbished, and that is a statue that went in the 1950s, and it was refurbished with a partnership from Salina Parks and Recreation and the Arts and Humanities Department. When they removed the old statue, the current statue for refurbishment to take it off site to be refurbished, the cap that was sitting on had to be it was already damaged, and Dennis had to get a new cap, and that new cap is on, and we are waiting for that Little Liberty. We're waiting for better weather for that new refurbished Little Liberty statue to be reinstalled.
I was just imagining a stocking cap or a
I see.
ball cap.
Yeah, Liberty
So
shoe. Yeah.
that's better. Okay.
Or the pedestal that
Yes.
is the cap for that pedestal.
Thank you.
But at one time, those Liberty Little Liberty statues were all over the state of Kansas. I remember, and this is about the only one I remember as even being around. I haven't seen
I
one.
think Dennis and I did quite a bit of research. I think we found that there was 88 installed at one point in time in the 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
based on all these Boy Scouts that were coming together and doing fundraisers. And there's not 88 remaining now. There's I can't remember the number, but it was less than half of those Little Liberties in the state of Kansas that are still around. And we have one, and we want to take care of it.
Yep. Glad we did that.
I
Yep.
think I recall it. Rich Bergen was helping with that. Is that right?
Correct. Yes, that is correct. He is the one doing the refurbishment.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there's a lot of snow-related items on here. And you'll see that Christmas tree collection in the month of January at 4 different parks, and we collected more trees than we have in the past. Those are chipped up and used for mulch in various parks. Under Lakewood, there was a question from the board previously about trout being stocked at Lakewood, and we did stock in January, trout in Lakewood Pond or Lakewood Lake. Under Kenwood Cove, I wanted to point out, which is a similar item I had had last year, was that 68% of our 2024 staff have committed to returning to Kenwood Cove for the 2025 season. And then you can see in the rounds played in January for the golf course was 8. And that was all in one day.
Wow.
And that the impacts of weather have been impacting our ability for the community to recreate. Course conditions, there's an item, fourth one down under course conditions, that's not a course related, that is the pro shop related. And that is a project on that ADA transition plan I talked about in the past, where that current counter is not at the proper height for ADA, and there's also the snack area is not at the proper height, and then the soda fountain that's there at the golf course is not at the proper height. So we've contracted with someone to, it also has some water damage from a previous leak of that soda fountain, so we're going to be refurbishing or redoing that small little counter at the pro shop at the golf course, so we can make that ADA compliant, which is part of our plan. Travis is here. I'm assuming Travis wants to speak about recreation stuff and talk about our award-winning staff member.
Sure, I can do that. First of all, I do want to recognize Daniel Jones. So he only served 45 years for Salina Parks and Recreation. Think about that, 45 years as a part-time supervisor, ran concessions, looks over the field house, ran programs, filling in wherever we need, and we need a lot. We need those go-getters to fill in a lot of the various cracks that we have. So we did nominate Daniel Jones, and by a landslide, he did win that Distinguished Service Award. We do have a conference we go to every year. We bring staff to. You might recognize a guy there in a sport jacket. That's all I got for you. Okay, that's jeans and a sport jacket and a tie. So that's what I got. But there's Daniel getting his award. I thought it was very, very deserving, and his family was there, and it was a nice thing for him. So if you see Daniel out in the community, you might want to thank him for his service.
And also pass on from us. We really appreciate him doing that.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
Moving on to the field house.
We see a lot, yeah.
January is so busy. We have adult volleyball with only 32 teams. When I say only, the problems that we're incurring right now is high participation and capping leagues and doing those things that we don't want to do, but it's due to high participation. Smoky Valley home educators, they're in there with practices and games, and they bring everybody and they fill the facility. So that's a good user that we do have. We do run a youth basketball league. It's trying to close down right now. We have 26 teams in there. And then adult basketball, that program has been rising as well with 14 teams. Amy back here, we'll put her on the mic here pretty soon, but she only had 36 futsal teams playing games in there as well. So Toddler Time is a great one. That's one of our programs that was kind of came back towards the end, rebounding from COVID. So, but that's been a really good one. The mamas are really liking us. The daycare is really liking us, getting their kids, getting some energy out of them there in the mornings. First Tee, they're going on right now as we speak. When I left the facility, the First Tee program utilizes turf number 6. In the field house. If you don't recall, we had some netting that was we got special ordered for number 6 so we can play golf in the field house, and the First Tee takes advantage of that. So along with the simulator, and I think the kiddos like the simulator as well, along with the adults. The turf side, I always mention to people, good luck finding a spot on the turf side. That's the problems that we're really running into, which is a great problem to have. We're on the cusp of people are getting ready for outdoor soccer, baseball, softball, and those teams are heavily utilizing it. Sharp Performance, they've been a long-standing user group, and they come in on the weekends as well for football workouts. The events, this might date me a little bit, but I do recall this guy playing a little bit. Kerry Darting came in and did a camp for us. He was a player for KU, nice little basketball camp. Carl Hines ran a MAYB youth basketball tournament. Originally had 44 teams, but Jeff discussed, a little bit of weather we incurred. 24 of those teams end up participating, but 44 registered on the front side. They did rebound the following weekend and had 43 teams, 33 from out of town. This one was a good one, gymnastics. It takes a lot to convert that area, but the hardwood side was full. We had over 600 gymnasts that weekend in the field house. They again had to think it through on the front side and run special sessions to get people in and out of the facility. So that was really, really good.
So do they bring all the equipment in?
They do.
Yeah, that's a lot of equipment.
A lot of equipment. It's a little bit on our side to set it up, open up the space and set it up how we want, what they need to open up that space, but it's well worth it. So again, over 600 gymnasts, and we are giving some tours. That word is getting out. We are giving some tours to other organizations interested in running regional/national events here for those type of events of gymnasts.
Is there an organization of the gymnasts, or are they just called gymnasts?
That Sky, I know they were with Sky Gymnastics, and then now maybe separated off from that. That's why I didn't list an organization with that. So the other organizations that we have ran some events, and that's AAU. So AAU. Okay. So hopefully we're looking forward to that. I'll keep the board updated on those.
And they're from all over the state? It's all over the state or region? Even
that particular event was all over the state. You may have a few out-of-staters with that a little bit, but mainly within the state of Kansas for that particular event. The event that we've kind of showcased the facility, that you're talking a national event. So hope that works out. Again, Smoky Valley hosts a tournament towards the end of January every year with middle school, high school, girls, boys teams, and so they had 41 teams. And then you're talking a lot of teams staying the night for a two-day event for that one. So that's a good, impactful event. I think that's all I have. If you have any questions, be glad to answer them.
It's fun to go by there and just see the cars all the time.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And last item of the activity reports, on the last page of the activity reports, it gives a pretty detailed update of where we are with bathroom remodels, about Lakewood South and the two Oakdale bathrooms that are the brick sandstone models that are in Oakdale Park that are the older style, and where we're at with that. I believe Lakewood South, we had the roofing material or the roofing structure delivered just recently, and I know they're working hard to try to get that roof in before, but I think the weather might have impacted that some, but it is in progress. Bless you.
Thank you.
Again, if there's any, like Travis said, if there's any questions about the activity reports, we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
If there's no questions, we'll move on to the new business, the National Fitness Campaign, Fitness Court.
Yes. So this is an opportunity that's been in the state of Kansas. It's a grant available from the big Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas, and they provide grant opportunities for these fitness courts. They have a limited number of grant opportunities per year, but it's something that we've considered in the past because they have reached out to the city for some time. My focus has been on deferred maintenance relating to the master plan. And as we're addressing some of these master plan items, it's starting to look, we can start to look at some items that would be an amenity to our park system that would be new. And this is an opportunity for 2026 is what I'm leaning towards. We have a brief, I think, 3-minute video to show on the screen, and I'd like you to take a little bit of time to watch that, and I'll start walking through some of what that looks like. If you can go ahead and play that, Brett, I appreciate that.
We're changing the way America thinks about fitness. From municipal parks and trails to college campuses to high schools nationwide, we're bringing free fitness everywhere, and we're just getting started. Hi, I'm Mitch Managin, founder of the National Fitness Campaign. National Fitness Campaign was founded in 1979 when we opened the first fitness court. Redesigned for the 21st century, the fitness court is the world's best outdoor gym. Our 7-movement, 7-minute system allows you to use your own body weight to get the perfect workout. Easy or hard, it will work for you. Our goal is to build healthy communities by making outdoor fitness an essential part of people's lives so that each day is better than the last. Now more than ever before, it is vital that we move fitness outdoors to remain safe, healthy, and strong.
Michiganders, as soon as we can, we go outside, which is one of the reasons why the fitness court was such an attraction to us. What impressed us most was their basic philosophy that they want to provide world-class fitness for free. Truly, anyone can use it, no matter what your age is, no matter what your physical fitness level is, no matter what your skills are. It is very adaptable.
This fitness court is one of the best things that San Jacinto has ever done.
Thousands of certified ambassadors will be trained to deliver classes, challenges, and clinics as part of our national fitness campaign. New programs are bringing students outdoors across America. The Fitness Court mobile app is your gateway to enroll in these programs. Simply scan the new digital wall with your phone to access a library of free workouts designed to optimize your experience on the fitness court. Learn the moves and take challenges as we dig deep to create impact for our partners across America. This year, we are thrilled to introduce the Fitness Court Studio, the ultimate community wellness hub, uniting the power of yoga, Zumba, bodyweight fitness, and the arts. Fitness Court Public Art continues to grow and inspire across the country as local artists collaborate to bring beautiful, one-of-a-kind murals to life on fitness courts and fitness court studios. We're proud to have helped cities of all sizes raise millions of dollars from respected sponsors to support free fitness. Wherever fitness is a priority, you can find a fitness court. We're partnering with large cities using urban movement data to map the best locations for healthy infrastructure. We're bringing fitness courts to within 10 minutes of population centers everywhere.
They provide these wraparound services that, from a city's perspective, that's what you want in a partner like this. You want it to come presented to you on a silver platter with a bow tied around. They're one of the best partners, I think, that I personally have ever worked with.
We serve almost 1.2 million members across Michigan. And this partnership really is an opportunity for us to bring scalable, free health and wellness opportunities to our community. So I would actually invite cities and organizations, big and small, to explore the opportunity to invest in fitness courts. To be very honest with you, the feedback from different municipalities and different communities has been very positive.
We are committed to raise over $1 billion to bring the campaign to 5,000 cities and schools, building the largest outdoor fitness movement in the world. Join us. Let's make world-class fitness free.
Thank you,
Research
Brett.
has confirmed spirulina is one of the most
Wouldn't be
nutrient.
YouTube without an advertisement. Thank you, Brett. So hopefully that gives you a kind of an overview of what this National Fitness Campaign has been reaching out to communities across Kansas. Some of the previous installations have been in, I believe there's one at Central Christian College in McPherson. There is one in Wichita on the north end of Wichita, I believe, and they're looking at another one at the south end of Wichita. And there's also one east of here, and I don't recall the community that's in. They did give a lot of awards last year to communities in Kansas. So, and you've seen there's other brands of this. There's another brand called ExoFit. There's a similar type of exercise court in Lindsborg. I'm not sure if you've seen that before, but and so the documents I provided, which we were trying to put them on the screen, but we were having some technical difficulties, but you have them in your packet. And this is the basic. The first page I provided was the basic financial outlay of what we would be committed to for the space that we. And I'm kind of jumping around here, and I'm sorry, but I'm kind of going in order in how I presented the documents in the packet. So The fitness court is, well, let me back up a little bit more. Typically, Parks and Recreation has not been, we have not done anything exercise related. Kind of the modus operandi that I've been working with and previous directors is that we have not done any exercise things. We allow exercise or fitness to be another person's activity, whether it be the YMCA or Planet Fitness or other gyms. So this would be something that would be contrary to that, and it'd be kind of our first foray into something that would be exercise related in a city park. And for the purpose of this, we did look at several different parks where this could be located. And one would be, the one I picked out was along the Dyke Trail at Oxbow Park, where we recently have done some improvements to with a new playground and a art sculpture. It would be visible from the trail going along the dike. And that's one location. Other locations that were reviewed by the National Fitness Campaign include Bill Burke, because it has a lot of walking opportunities at Bill Burke. Another one would be on the south end of Jerry Ivy, which is where the tennis courts are at Jerry Ivy. And so there's some few places that they identified as possible opportunities based on the historical walking data of those areas of this community. Oxbow was a strong candidate. It wasn't the strongest candidate. I think they looked at Jerry Ivy or even Sunset Park as stronger candidates because of the amount of walking that was going on in those parks. But for the purpose of what we're proposing to do in the future, possibly, is the fitness court and not the fitness court studio. The fitness court, which is on the right side of the financial analysis or funding requirement document, is 40 by 40. It's 40 foot by 40 foot. It's actually 38 by 38, but I rounded up a little bit. You can see that the NFC grant funding, National Fitness Campaign, the typical funding for this type of court is between $30,000 and $60,000, and that means that the city would have to fund in the future between $110,000 and $140,000. There's also some other contributions. We have to provide a concrete slab, and they estimate that as up to $25,000. There are some communities that got that donated for in-kind for this project. And then there's an installation cost. So all in, after the funding, could be around $173,500. My intention, and I'm looking for feedback from the board today, my intent is to plan for this potential proposed fitness court in 2026. Trying to follow the city process. We do our funding requests early, which is in the spring and early summer of this year for the upcoming year, and that's my intention of bringing you today, prior to any funding requests that I would make to the finance director or the city manager, and eventually the city commission for 2026 consideration. We probably would have to incorporate some inflationary costs since we're looking at 2026, and that 30 to 60,000. It depends on the grant opportunity, depends on the strength of the location that we're choosing. It depends on how many applicants they get. So I'm not intending on applying for a grant for 2025. This would be for 2026. There's only about 10 or 12 grant opportunities per year. They've already assigned some grant opportunities, and I'm not asking for, I don't have the funds. I don't have the project approved to have the funds set aside for this year. So this is a 2026 request, I guess you would say. Going through the remainder of the documents, just some briefing documents from the National Fitness Campaign. And you see the sponsors of who provide the grant opportunities.
So they're the ones that come up with the grant side of it, and then the city actually would fund the rest of it?
Correct.
Okay.
We would, yes, yes, ma'am.
Finish your thought.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay, is it just a one-time grant, or do they provide any ongoing maintenance coverage?
My understanding is that it's a one-time grant towards the equipment, and then there's a process, and I think the process might be in some of these documents. I can go through those in a little bit, and it would be a one-time. It would not cover ongoing maintenance, if that's what you're
Yeah.
leading to.
I guess, and the other one was, is it only for cities? I mean, we have not done fitness in the past. Could the Y do it? You know, is it only?
Certainly. I think it's really, they tend to target municipalities when they do their advertising or sales pitches or talking with city managers or Parks and Rec directors or Public Works directors. I believe it's eligible by other people other than municipalities. But to answer that better, I probably would need to ask that question. I don't know.
Thank you.
Do we know, so Olivia's Park, the center park, there's some fitness stuff attached to that. Is that utilized at all? I know this is a different kind of concept and different area that we're looking at, but is that utilized at all?
Olivia's Playground is not a city playground. It's actually the hospital's playground.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was part of the Salina Regional Foundation, Salina Regional Hospital Foundation, and they operate that and they maintain that.
Okay.
Just my personal, I've only been there maybe 4 or 5 times with my kids, and I have not. I've played around with it. I used it, but I just was trying to experiment because I knew these types of exercise courts existed, and I wanted to try it out for myself.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, going to the park as well, I haven't seen a whole lot of that being utilized extensively, so.
Yeah. And if this were to work for us, for this community, that's why I thought of the trail system, being close to the trail system, especially along the dike, where people that might want to use it could. Going through the remainder, of course, there's art opportunities that go along with the fitness court. That you saw the app, fitness app. They have some different ways to do custom art. They can do a local artist, so there's an art opportunity. But then that brings me to another question that I don't know the answer to: is if this is at a certain location in a park, who's going to see the art? Is the art going to be seen from the road? Is the art going to be, depending on if it's at Oxbow Park or Jerry Ivy or Sunset, or who's going to enjoy the art? Who's going to see the art? But there is a nice mural canvas there that you could apply art to. They started doing shade structures, especially in Kansas, very popular option. I did not see in their pricing where they included shade structures, but I think we would want a shade structure for Kansas, especially when you get those 2 months of summer where it's just brutally hot. One of the last steps, some of the grant requirements, you show some level of support from the governing body. You typically, with any grant request, it is a city commission approval by resolution to support such a grant endeavor, especially for one that's such a large amount of potential grant. And that would be the showing that leadership support. The site is selected. There's a funding match, and then you can then you wait for the qualification from the grant, and it goes into some details about what those steps are in the last few slides or last few sheets of the presentation. to show you the different steps.
Question?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you talked to anybody from like McPherson or Wichita or
I
other
have
places?
not. I have not.
That might be worth doing.
It is certainly would be worth doing as far as checking references, kind of getting a little informal survey of how that community or that college certainly would be helpful to have that information.
And what I kind of have seen, you've seen these fitness trails before, the long ones where there's something along the way, and I've never seen those used much. I like this concept. I just think it needs to be someplace where there's going to be like Jerry Ivy, where it's going to have the most amount of people coming in. Where Oxbow, I like Oxbow, but it's along the trail. I just don't see it. It's something like this has to have a lot of people going by. And back to the art part of it, I think that Jerry Ivy's a growing nice park, and I think that would really add a lot to that. Bill Burke, same way. It's kind of that way. I mean, a lot of people with ball fields would use it, and 'cause I know that playground gets a lot of use there.
Yeah.
And
The one concern I have for Bill Burke is where do you put it at Bill
Yeah,
Burke? Because it's
yeah.
such a youth baseball, softball complex that this might
I think it's
not-
more of a park concept than a
Correct,
like
yeah.
Bill Burke. Yeah.
We did look at the area Bill Burke we looked at was on the other side of the dike, but again, which is plenty of ground there, but who would see it?
Yeah.
It would not be very visible.
I think it has to be.
And most people walk on the east side and
Yeah.
not on the west side. So
Well, my fear though too with Oxbow or the other side of the dike with Bill Burke is you're taking away other opportunities for soccer as well. Because if we're trying to keep off of Magnolia to help growth there,
right.
we're taking away that.
Sure, understood, yeah. And then that also is a major flag football area on
Yeah.
that west side of the dike at Bill Burke. It's a lot of exercise. People go there just to exercise and do, so. So really, let's see, there's just a last step 4. And these are if
So
there's any
you
other
looking
questions,
for a recommendation from us, or just get this as informational and we think about it a month, or?
Yeah, I have time. I mean, we have some upcoming in March and April. We have some upcoming strategic planning with the city commission and the finance director and the city manager for 2026. They have not seen this yet. I brought it to you first.
Sure.
And I definitely would do some thinking about it. I was really looking for your initial feedback, which I think you did well. Thank you for that feedback. I would agree with the visibility, and I think with something like this, building it anywhere and they come might not be realistic. Putting it in a location that is already very active with walkers would be more of a primary.
And close to South High, I think, is a big advantage with youth, kind of keeping, that bring the numbers in there.
Yep, and that's one of the other rationale pieces that the National Fitness Campaign said was being close to the high school would certainly drive up use of this.
Does the city ultimately get to pick where it goes if we do? Or how much say does the NFC have in that?
They tie their approval in with with their location.
Okay.
I think every location gets scored, and they did not share with me the scoring of their initial review of the different parks that we pointed out, but Oxbow was not the highest. I think Jerry Ivy and Sunset were higher.
Okay.
And in Sunset, there is those opportunities where we have the former tennis complex and the former horseshoe areas. However, the community, the neighborhood, might not necessarily agree with that either. So I would probably need to reach out to that neighborhood and see what they think. So we've got a process to go through. Sounds like I need to go through some additional steps. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Old business, the copy of submitted annual report. It's after the fitness court thing.
Yes. Based on your feedback from last meeting, I did capture that, staff did capture that, and this was what we published to the city clerk. And I wanted to make sure you had a copy of what was published and provided to the city clerk for the annual board report for the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. And the goals, I continued improvements at Jerry Ivy Park, Parker Park, Dog Park, Matson Field, which we are, hopefully the weather improves and we can get on that. Continuing restroom updates at Oakdale and Lakewood Parks, and continued progress being made on the ADA transition plan items. And then I picked some other items of interest that were other smaller projects or in the year that I put under other items of interest. Can play curriculum, which the board received from our recreation supervisor Sarah Hageman. The Oxbow playground with new art and benches, demolition of Sunset Park tennis courts and horseshoe pits, and the tennis center bathroom remodel, which was completed early 2024. And then the attendance on the back page, which is part of that.
This is going to be submitted?
It already has been submitted
right.
to the city clerk.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, I think the deadline was February 8th, so we had to get it in there.
If there's no other questions or project status updates?
So Matson Field, I spoke on that previously. The weather's kind of keeping them away from starting. We anticipate very shortly, if we get the weather we're supposed to be getting next week and it stays that way, I would say a handful of the projects that we've been putting off because of the weather will start, including Matson Field, the regrade of that field. Also, the work that's going to be done at Bill Burke for concrete replacements around the concession stand, which is a relatively poor slab of concrete. The shelters have already started, but the removal of the pad of concrete underneath the shelter, they're started on the south shelter, and the weather kind of got in our way a little bit, but resuming that. And then on the north side of Bill Burke, putting in a new sidewalk to connect the new 10-foot sidewalk to the trail on the north end of Bill Burke. And
back on Matson Field, is there an estimated time to start the fire department, the new one there?
4 weeks ago. Is what I know, but I did see some equipment out there recently. I think they're starting to mobilize. They're using that north end of Matson Field parking lot as a layout yard while the field is closed for this regrade. And I think you'll see some work here in the next 4 weeks. They'll start moving dirt pretty quickly.
It really doesn't come into the Matson Field parking lot, right?
No, it's the outfield fence of Matson Field on the left field side is about the limits of where the new fire station ends and Matson Field starts.
Okay.
And they have parking in that area for, and then there's some, I don't have all the details, but there is some various things. There's a privacy wall. I'm not sure how tall that is to try to help balls from possibly leaving the area and going into that parking lot and things like that, which I don't know how frequently that will happen, but it could happen. You get some big boys in there, they could hit some home runs.
Yeah.
Sacred Heart in there.
Yeah. Dog Park at Parker Park, we're working on a contract for the contractor who was approved by the City Commission to move forward with that. And again, ground's pretty soft, so, but we'll be moving on that in the next 4 to 5 weeks. Restroom remodels are ongoing at Oakdale Park and Lakewood Park. Jerry Ivy Memorial Park, we're still working through some of the design and engineering to get that redesigned, if you will, so we can try to control some costs.
And with that, that means probably Splash Park will not get started or be finished by this spring?
That's correct.
Yep.
We'll have 2 splash pads in town at Centennial Park and Hawthorne Park. And lastly, of the project statuses, Glenifer Hill Park, there is, staff have removed some various items from the park area. It is a city-owned piece of land, but it is no longer designated a park. So we've removed the sign, we removed the benches, and things like that. There isn't a request for proposals out in the wild for people to consider buying that piece of land. And that's all the knowledge I have about that right now.
And with Indian Rock, moving the playground over there, is that in a process or?
That is contingent on the funding that we would receive from the sale of Glenifer Hill to a developer or something that someone would want to use it for. But the sale of that park would be contributing to the playground at Indian Rock. If there's any questions about any other project, please.
Did you want to give an update on the Kansas Wesleyan fees? I think, haven't they been tabled for a year?
Good point. They have not been tabled. In January 27th, there was a commission item approved to, so let me back up a minute and put this in context. Last year, there was a request by resolution for fees to be approved for and increased for use of synthetic turf fields at Bill Burke, Pestinger, Dean Evans. Apparently sorry, I apologize. So those fees were in effect January 1st of this year. They went into effect. Travis has been applying those updated reservation fees. What was outstanding from that was a consideration for fees relating to adult teams, older teams, what we called at the time college teams, and teams that had rosters that were unusually large to be on a field at a given time. The city manager, the former city manager, Mike Scragg, in January 27th, proposed to the city commission to address those fees and how we look at teams that were adults. So what we created was an adult team multiplier of 25% that would be applied to any rental fee that's already been approved. So if, for example, if Dean Evans is an hourly rate of $60, then if it was an adult team like Kansas Wesleyan or any other team that has adults that want to rent, it would be multiplied by 25%. So it would be an additional $15 for that $60 rental fee per hour. And then there's another opportunity for a multiplier on top of the base rate of $60. If someone were to be playing on the field with more than 40 team members at one time. And both of those items, adult teams, based on the size and the weight of the players and the amount of players on the field at one time, had an impact, and the contract does allow for fees to be created based on some of those impacts to the wear and tear of the field. So that was approved January 27th to apply those two potential multipliers to a base rate for those for specifically for adult teams and teams that have a large roster. Second thing that occurred on that meeting was we also created fees for Bill Burke adult use that matched what the rates are for Salina South Fields use, which was $40 an hour for games and $125, I'm sorry, $40 per hour for practices and $125 for games, for the game, not for hour, but for the game. And that also has the opportunity for a large roster multiplier to be added to that as well. But it's already set up as an adult rate. So because it matched what was being charged to adult teams such as Kansas Wesleyan for use of Salina South softball fields. Hopefully that wasn't terribly confusing.
Does the Bill Burke game include umpires? No. Okay, I didn't think so.
It's just a rental fee.
The
It's just
rental fee
just
for
a
the
rental
facility.
fee, and anything additional in that, such as lights. If they want to rent lights, that's a separate fee.
Okay.
And Travis can go into all the separate fees that potentially could. I just don't have a working memory of all of them, except for lights. But there are other opportunities for fees if they have needs that they don't fill themselves or can't fill themselves.
And pretty much you contract the concessions air out, so they are always, any tournaments or anything like that, it's a concessionaire that you contract with? Like a certain tournament doesn't come in and provide concessions. It's always whoever you have done for the year, right?
Is that for Bill Burke you're referring to?
Well, anything.
Oh,
I didn't know,
anyway.
how, yeah, but yeah, I'm thinking Bill Burke is not about the only place you have a concessionaire.
Bill Burke, you're correct.
Yeah.
In the past, Optimist has been there and provided for the tournaments and games and stuff. Up on the hill at Berkeley Family Recreational Area, that changed a little bit, and we used to have a concessionaire back when I first started here. But since then, it's kind of per event. You can bring a food truck. When we started renovating the facility, we looked at that hookups to make sure we could have food trucks for certain events there. So we were trying to think outside the box there, and we do have those possibilities. Is the same concessionaire there every time? My answer is no. They're different.
And when you said, I was thinking the building, but really you don't have a building off the Markley, off of.
Yes, at Dean Evans, if you recall, that was
yeah.
renovated into a restrooms.
Yeah.
Bigger, better.
And really food trucks work, yeah.
And then the food trucks pull right up there, as I say, in that area when you first walk into, there's food trucks right there.
I can recall in 2019, Travis and I were working together to put together a request for proposals for concessionaires for Berkeley, and we really didn't have much of a response at all. I think we had one person who was slightly interested, and it really wasn't going to work out. And that was about the time we said, food trucks are becoming more of a thing. Let's see what we can do with that, and that might be more successful. And so far, so good. One thing also recently, the Salina Noon Optimists have announced that they are no longer able to provide concession services at Bill Burke. They just don't have the volunteerism. They basically have a very small handful of people helping out, and they just can't do it any longer. So Travis has a decision to make as to how he wants to move forward with that in 2025. They've been there quite a long time, and successful partnership between the Salina Noon Optimists and City for Bill Burke concessions, but we're going to have to move a different direction. And that might be food trucks, that might be an RFP to see if there's someone out there who wishes to do that.
Just while you're on that, also the pool does have a concessionaire that takes care of all that all year round.
Yeah. And they've been a long-time concessionaire there. And I have reached out to them personally to see if they are interested in doing Bill Burke. I think they want to know information and they want a tour, and so it would be a new concept for them to take on that additionally. So,
Assuming we're at the same situation with Magnolia with soccer, that there's nothing at that point. Correct.
Yeah, there is a small concession space there, but we just haven't had much success in getting someone interested. I think we have been doing some basic stuff with families or parents.
Amy can probably further explain, but we do have some interest of funding the scholarship program through the soccer and trying to do it that way.
Yeah. So.
I was going to, general announcements is on next on the list. And what I was going to do there, Jeff and I have been talking about this past year of giving faces with names, right, with our staff. So I asked Amy Wyatt, she's our new recreation supervisor. And so I asked her to come to meeting just to put her face out there to you. And she got put on the spot right away with concessions. So she can introduce herself and tell her a little bit about herself and then answer your concession question.
Welcome, Amy.
Thank you. So I'm Amy Wyatt. I took over in November for you guys. Some of you may know me from the YMCA. I was a sports director there for 2 years, but have been in recreation for over 10 years. So, yeah, a little bit about me. I took over soccer for Dave. So as far as the concessions go, I do have interest in getting Magnolia up and running for concessions. I have a group that's interested in using it for their scholarship fund. And then a team that's also within that same group interested in using it for a potential team fundraiser for their UPSL group. So there is the interest there, and they would like to start something. We're just in the works. Not quite sure where to go yet.
Getting back to your original request, hopefully I answered your questions relating to fees.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah,
And,
I
this
knew they
month-
got spread out so much, and I just wasn't really clear where it all landed.
Sure.
So,
So Travis and his staff have their hands full of incorporating those fees and how we address multipliers. And he had already put in winter and spring reservations, so he had to redo all that. So his staff, and actually I think Amy did quite a bit of that actually. And so, it's been a little bit of a curve that we had to manage, but we are.
I probably got distracted on the concessionaires, but I just was wondering, and I think I had never thought about the food truck thing. And so, do they have to pay a fee then, the food trucks?
Yeah, we do have a vendor fee, to provide those services. But in the past, it was a struggle just to provide those concessions type. But we do have that vendor fee for our bigger events.
Yeah, electricity or something. So, anything else? So, did that cover the general announcements also?
I think we were just going to talk about Amy, but yeah.
Yeah, we were going to talk about Amy. I think she
Okay.
already did that.
Yeah,
But if you have any questions for Amy, here she is. We're glad to have her on board. And then, she stepped right in, and then she provides a great help for our department in multiple ways. So.
Any other questions? Well, I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. See you next month.